All right, you guys, today we are going to learn about the Liquify tool as part of the retouching process here in Adobe Photoshop. You guys, I'm going to warn you right now, Liquify can do some really awesome things to your photos, but it's also very, very easy to ruin your portraits when retouching with Liquify. So we're going to be real careful with this bad boy today. If you've been following along with my videos so far on retouching, your layers panel probably looks like this and your image looks like this. If you want to start over back at the beginning, click on this link up here to find the beginning of this playlist where you can download this image and follow along with us in all we're doing here. So here in our layers panel, we've got our background layer, we've got a small blemishes layer and a large blemishes layer. Let's come to this layer right here, and we're going to duplicate this by pressing Command or Control J. And once that duplicates, it's going to make a copy of it. Let's go ahead and double click right on the words here, and we're going to rename this, and we're going to call it Liquify. And here we go. We're going to come up here to the top of our screen, and we're going to go to Filter, and we're going to go to Liquify. Now listen, recently, within the last couple of years, Photoshop added this face-aware Liquify right here. And you guys, I'm just going to warn you right now, it's pretty easy to overdo this and ruin things. In fact, I don't even like it, but I'm going to just show you what you can do with it in case you decide you like it. Maybe I only don't like it because I've been doing it the old way for so long. I don't know. But you can see you can expand all these out. You got eyes, nose, mouth, face shape. And if maybe this eye right here is a little bit smaller than this eye over here, you can come over here and literally just drag this slider to the right and make that eye bigger. So you can see how easy it is to overdo this and start ruining things in Photoshop. So you can link these two if you wanted to make both eyes bigger. You click on that little chain, and now when you make one bigger, it makes both of them bigger or smaller. So dangerous stuff here, you guys. You got to really be careful with this. We've got nose height and width. We can even make him more smiley or less smiley. To me, I don't like any of this stuff, but if you like it, use it. I don't have any problem with it. It's just not for me. What we really want to do is work on the shape of his face and clean up around his head here. So let's try like face width. And if we're trying to make him skinnier, but I don't know. I just don't think that looks right either. I don't like the look of that, right? And jawline, if we shrink that down, again, it's moving his mouth. I don't like it. I don't like it. But again, if you like it, use it, go for it. I'm not against it. So I'm going to actually disregard all of this. I'm not going to change anywhere in Face Aware Liquify. I'm just going to come up here and change. This is my brush size. So you can see if I come over here and grab the forward warp tool, which is this one right here, keyboard shortcut W, it makes a circle. So it's a brush, which means if I hold down Control Option left click on a Mac and click and drag to the left or right, it makes it bigger or smaller. And the hardness doesn't change on this. You can't change the hardness by going up or down. What it does do is change the pressure. So you can see that over there on the right-hand side, the pressure is going up and down as I'm moving it. I like that pressure to be right around 50. So I'm going to drop that right there and leave that there. I also want my density to be at 50, which I believe it is by default. So you shouldn't have to worry about that. And what we're going to do, you guys, is we're just going to push his cheeks in just a little bit. We're just going to make him just a touch thinner. We're not changing the way he looks. We're not turning him into a model. We just want him to be a little bit thinner. The secret here, you guys, is you have to use a big enough brush. Remember, you can also change the size of the brush with the bracket keys. And you can see if I get the brush size just right, all I got to do is come in here and give those cheeks just a little tiny push in. And I don't want to move his ears. I don't want to move his mouth. I don't want to move anything else. I just want to give that little part of his cheek just a little push in. And what that's going to do, let me go ahead and press OK here so we can see our before and after, is look at how subtly we just shaved a couple of pounds off him. We made him look like he probably thinks he looks like, because I know when I look in the mirror, I see myself as a little bit skinnier than I actually am. So I'm going to undo that, and let's go back into Liquify so we can kind of go through the whole process again. So let's go to Filter, Liquify, and you'll notice though that my brush is a little big. In order for it to be the right size to push his cheek in and make it look smooth, I'm also hitting his mouth a little bit, which I don't want to move. So there's this really cool tool over here. It's called the freeze tool. It's this right here. Its keyboard shortcut is F, the freeze mask tool, excuse me. And what I like to do with this is come out here, make this brush a little bit bigger, and I'm going to paint his mouth, his nose, and his eyes and his eyebrows red. And what that's going to do is make it so that no matter what, let me go back to the forward warp tool, keyboard shortcut W. I'm going to do something extreme here. You can see I cannot move his mouth. Photoshop won't let me. I've frozen it, so I cannot make changes to his mouth, his nose, or his eyes. Let me Command Z all that to undo all that stuff, because that's obviously not what I want it to do. But in doing this and freezing his eyes, nose, and his mouth, I can now come and push the side of his cheek in just a touch right there and just a touch over here and not have to worry about messing with any part of his face. If you want to unfreeze that, you're going to defrost it. That's how you remember it. Its keyboard shortcut is D for the the thaw mask tool. I like to think of it as defrosting. So that's how I remember the keyboard shortcut. It's D. I'll make that brush a little bit bigger. And I'm going to get that to go away. Another really useful tool for the Liquify is kind of coming in and cleaning up the hair. Look at right here. See this little, let me make this brush a little bit smaller. He's got this little divot in his hair right there. And I bet he probably didn't want that. I bet, and ideally, that's a little bit smoother. So watch this. I'm going to make this brush just a touch bigger. And I'm just going to push. Oh, let me switch back to the forward warp tool. I was on the wrong tool. Make this brush a little bit smaller with the left bracket key. I'm just going to push that hair out right there. Maybe back in a little bit right there. And you can see when I pushed this in, see how that exposed the side of the image? I don't want that. So I'm going to Command Z that, undo that. And guess what I'm going to grab? I'm going to grab my freeze tool, my freeze mask tool. I'm just going to freeze the edge of the photo there. And now I'll switch back to my forward warp tool. I'm going to push that out and bring this in just a little bit. But because that freeze is there, it's not going to let me pull in the edge of the photo. I'm going to come do the same thing over here. I'll make this a touch smaller. And I want to just pull out his hair right there. Just make it a little bit more rounded, look a little bit more natural, give a little bit of body, a little bit of volume to his hair here. And that looks really, really nice. So that's it, you guys. That's all I like to do in the Liquify tool. I don't want to overdo this. Again, I'm not trying to make him look like a supermodel. I want him to just look like he thinks he looks like. So I'm going to go ahead and press OK here. Let's let it do its thing. And let's look at the before and after here. Look at that. Very, very subtle. Just taking a little bit off, smoothing out, cleaning up his hair a little bit. And that really makes a nice difference right there. I really like the looks of that. Take it really easy on the Liquify tool, you guys. It's very easy to overdo it. And it's not like any of our adjustment layers. I can't just come in and lower down the opacity if I decide I did too much. Don't overdo it. If you do, just delete that layer you made. Whoops, let's get this back. Come on back here, little dude. Just delete this liquefied layer that you made, and we'll start over and try it again. So there you go. That's the Liquify tool.